Pranam Acharya ji. Patanjali speaks about sadhana, and he says that Satu Dirga Kala Nairantarya Satkara Sevito Drida Bhumi, for a foundation. A sadhaka has to practice for a long time. But sometimes, when a sadhaka is practicing for a long time, if he is doing some nitya karmas and if he is practicing certain things, will he not get bored by certain practices he is only doing? So, what does Patanjali mean by saying that one has to practice for a long time?
One has to practice for a long time, not because long time is needed as such, but because it is the nature of this battle to last long. If you could finish this off in a split second, there was no need for Patanjali to assert that Dirghakal, a long duration, is definitely needed. We must understand what sadhana really is. Is sadhana merely a set of routine exercises? If sadhana is just a repetition of a certain activity, then obviously there is a danger that the whole thing will turn boring, as you said. But sadhana is not quite that. I use the word battle. Sadhana is always against a resisting entity. Sadhana is always a battle, a challenge. It is an act of meeting a strong, unyielding, primitive, inner physical force. So sadhana is always against oneself. And that is why sadhana tends to last long. And that is also why sadhana can never turn boring. Are you getting it? Sadhana is highly exciting, adventurous. And it presents a new challenge every day. The moment you think that you have conquered one aspect of the self, you discover that the next aspect, probably more obstinate than the previous one, now stands afresh in front of you, challenging you, taunting you. When you are being taunted, then there is excitement, not boredom, right? The excitement might not be of the pleasurable kind, but for sure, when you are discovering that there is so much inside that still needs to be addressed, tamed, or simply understood, how can you get bored? But you can get bored if you are constantly wading only on the surface. If you are not quite daring to penetrate deeply within your own psyche. If you are not unraveling hitherto unseen parts of your inner self, inner personality, then all that you will see is just that which you have already seen. Then it can become boring. If sadhana is becoming boring, then that means that sadhana needs a fresh dose of sincerity. It can get boring only when it gets stalled, blocked. Otherwise, it's a fresh challenge every day. You are in the middle of a war, right? And you are being assaulted from all sides, at least from the inside. Would you suddenly drop your guard and drop your weapon and say, oh, I am bored of this constant battling? Has that ever happened with a soldier? Does a soldier get bored in the middle of a battle? Sadhana is a battle. It does not afford you the space, the time, the luxury to get bored.
Acharya ji, so in reference to this previous question, you mentioned that there is excitement, there is challenge, there is taunting in all this. How don't we run the risk of getting attached to this and then wanting to take on new challenges?
No. When you are being challenged, how do you even get attached to the challenge? What's the entire mechanism and meaning of getting attached to the challenge? Challenge, by definition, is a call to engage, a fight till finish. One side has to emerge victorious, right? That's the only way you can engage with a challenge. Otherwise, there is no engagement. If you and the challenge happily coexist, then is there a challenge at all? Now there is happy coexistence. There is no challenge. So challenge by definition demands action towards annihilation, action towards subjugation of one party or the other. Either your determination will win or your old animal primitive tendency will win. One of the two will stand victorious and the other will stand vanquished. Right? So if you say you are attached to a challenge, and that means that you can never forget the challenge, you are in constant remembrance of the challenge, then such a definition of attachment is great. Is it not? I am besieged, I am being attacked, I am threatened, and for a moment I cannot afford to forget that I am attacked. It's all right. Why console oneself with a false sense of wellness or security when the fact is that your one precious life, your peace, is actually under attack and siege? See, when we talk of remembrance, I just use that word. And that word is very frequently used in spiritual literature. Remembrance cannot imply a positive memory of the highest state. Though we often say that one must always remember the truth, or one must always remember God. Those who have known have said that instead you should always remember Maya. You should always remember Kal. This is what should be there in the mind all the time, because the mind anyway exists in Maya and Kal. Maya, illusion, and Kal, change, time. So that is what can be actually and practically remembered all the time. Right? Remember that. We often feel that our problems are our problems. Our real problem is not that we are problemed. Our real problem is that we do not know the real problem and we keep comforting ourselves with a very false feeling of all rightness, with a very false feeling of wellness. And the moment that false feeling is about to be disturbed or threatened or verified in some way, cross-checked, we figure out some way to somehow sustain that false sense of inner wellness. We'll go and maybe purchase something. We'll go and find some way to entertain ourselves. Maybe just have some good food. Or read some book that assures us that we are already all right. There is a lot of that kind of spiritual propaganda these days, is there not? You are beautiful as you are. You are already the truth. That's our real problem. This artificial sense of wellness, which never allows us to address the lingering and deep issue within. If it could be addressed, it could be resolved. But if it is not addressed, there is no possibility of resolution.